Supergirl Season 3, Episode 7, Wake Up. So this episode, we have the return of Mon-El, and it was a pretty cool episode. We find out that it actually is him, because I was wondering if it was a clone or what the weird deal was that was going on there. But it turns out that him going through this black hole at the end of the last season was him actually going into the future, into the next century. Or not century, like full millennia. And I thought that was pretty cool. Apparently there was some more time travel because they talk about how the ship that he was in has been on Earth for like 12,000 years or something. So clearly he went into the future, and then for whatever reason they went back in time. I don't know what the deal was with that. So I assume that there's still some story element there, because it's like, all right, well, if he went to the future, then they went, way back into the past for some reason, So there's definitely something there with that. But as far as this episode goes, Mon-El wakes up. He's on this ship, and some weird stuff is happening. He's being a bit distant and everything. It's like, all right, so is this really him, or these clones? What's going to happen here? And as we go throughout the episode, we find out that he went into the future. He'd been there for 7 years, not 7 months, and so things are just so different. And so we get back to the ship. He asks Wen to help him out. They get back to the ship, and they're working on the pods for all the other people in stasis, and then one thing messes up, and I was like, okay, so someone's drowning. He says that she's drowning. I was like, okay, well, not to be automatic, but clearly Mon-El's not gay, so if he's talking about this random woman and he's freaking out about how she's about to die, I was like, this is television. I think this is going to be the woman that he's with right now. And of course, that's what ends up happening. She's in the, I forgot her name. It was actually a pretty cool name. I forgot what it was. It's like, almost like Emerald, but it's not. It's something like that. But, Kara ends up, breaking the case that she was in. Saves her life. It's like, oh, she's breathing and stuff like that. And I was like, okay. I could be wrong. But like I said, it's television. I'm pretty sure this is going to end up being his girlfriend. Technically, I was wrong, because I thought it was going to be like the simple thing. And it goes through, and it's like, I should have told you exactly what was going on. I thought it was obvious when they were having that talk on the balcony where Kara was like, oh, okay, he definitely has feelings for this girl. I thought that's what he was saying when he was like, I guess I should have told you. I thought, that was kind of what they were going for. And then the woman wakes up, and she's like, Mon-El, and he runs to her, and he kissed her, and I was just like, oh, he probably should have just said it like the second before the kiss, but it's also his wife. So he kisses her, and it was really funny, because like I said, I was thinking girlfriend the whole time, and then he was like, he introduces them, and I was like, if he says this is my wife, and he was like, it's my wife, I was like, oh, I don't know why, that just makes it worse. I was like, dang, that sucks. But 7 years, it makes sense. So really sucks for Kara, like, she's just so happy. This is Mon-El, this is like the love of her life, who she's been like just sulking over for months now. And he comes back. He seems different, something's up with him, and then it turns out that he actually got married, because of course he went to the future, and he never thought that he would see Kara again. So, that brings up the huge question of, why did they go back in time now? Because in the future, they have technology. Legion of Superheroes, for anyone who might not know, that's basically like the super future version of the Justice League. And one of the big things is like, yeah, just put this ring on and you can jump through time. Like, that's one of their things, is that they have the Legion rings, and they just jump through time. Like, that's pretty much what they do. So it is very interesting that it took so much time before he had the opportunity to to go back in time, and then they went back 12,000 years in the past. Well, it was more for them, but for the present storyline, it was 12,000 years in the past. And so they did that for some reason, although I would assume they failed because they were all in stasis, and then they're just now waking up because of like the explosions and stuff from the beginning of the season. So they had some mission that I assume that they failed, or maybe they succeeded, but the ship got trapped while they were in stasis. Something weird like that. But like I said, that that storyline is still there. For whatever reason, they went back in time, like way back into the past. But yeah, it really sucked to see that happen. It's just like, wow, like Kara's been dealing with the loss of this guy for months. And then he comes back, and it's like, yeah, I've been gone for 7 years, and I thought I'd never see you again, and I had to move on. And I moved on and got married. I found someone else that I loved. Also, as soon as that woman came out, and I was like, oh, she's very attractive, I was like, of course this is going to be like the person he's with, because she was not ugly. And I was like, of course this is going to be like the person that he's with right now. Once again, that's television. It's like, oh, opposite sex. We know that he's straight. opposite sex. She's very attractive. I wonder if that's going to be the girlfriend, his new girlfriend. Although, like I said, it was his new wife. So I don't know what that means for the show, but that was really sad. I was like, oh, that sucks. Like it was just really sad. I was like, man, like the Danvers sisters just cannot get a break when it comes to relationships. Like Alex can't get married. Kara, has to wait for months for this person to actually show up alive, and then he's married, and it's just like, wow, that they just both can't have just happiness. So that really sucked. But interesting storyline for sure. I am looking forward to what answers they're going to give us as far as why this group of people actually went back 12,000 years in the past. What were they trying to do? What were they trying to stop, maybe? So, ton of questions there that I'm definitely looking forward to getting some answers to. Our two other storylines in this episode, we get to see both Martian Manhunters, so I thought that was definitely cool. And we get to see Jean take his dad around. He takes him to the park, and his father talks to him is like, hey, your body is here, but your mind is, with work. Like, that's just what it is. Like, you are insanely distracted. Like, you are, you're kind of like a slave to your job. And he's like, I've kind of been alone for such a long time that was pretty much all I had. Like, it was just me and work. And then over time, of course, Alex and Kara became like his daughters. So, aside from the two of them, it's just been him and work for a super, super long time. And I thought it was cool to watch his story kind of progress, where we get to see Jean actually take some time off from work. And, I'm sure we'll get to see, see that expand, which I'm looking forward to. But he buys an apartment, and he's like, this could be for you as well as me. So this could be our home. Like, this could be our new home. It's me away from work, you not feeling like, trapped at the offices and, trying to figure out where everything is. So I really love that idea. It was very simple. That was like the smallest storyline of the episode. It was just like, here's some stuff for the future. But I thought it was cool. And of course it was great to see Jean with his dad. So that was really awesome because, of course, he's been there. So it was great to see that and have that sort of experience for Jean, where he actually has someone to tear him away from work, because everyone else that he knows is either Alex, who works there, of course, or Kara, who works there. And, at least, half of her work is at the DEO. So it's just like, all right, well, now he has someone that isn't a part of that entire situation, but is legitimately his family. And so, of course, he now has that outlet to kind of take a break from work. And I don't know what that means for the future, but I am excited to see how that plays out. I don't know if he'll ever have a day where it's like, I'm going to take a break, for today or something, something like that. I feel like that's an episode coming up where it's supposed to be like Jean takes a break and it's just him and his dad, and then everyone else takes over, like, Alex will take over, which he's done before. But I feel like that's going to be kind of one of the episodes later in this season, and that should be interesting. But really enjoyed that storyline, and like I said, I'm looking forward to getting more out of that, because that was the smallest one. So it was really just like, here's the scene of them at the park talking, and then it's them at the apartment, and that was pretty much it. Like, at least the two of them actually together. Like, John shows up in a couple more scenes, and his dad was in that scene with Wynn in the beginning. But as far as them together, I feel like it was really only those two scenes when they're at the park and at the apartment at the end. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing more of them together, and how their relationship is going to expand. And of course, I'm really curious what Jean's father is going to do. I don't know how much of a role he's going to start to play, if they're going to build up his character, or if he's, just going to kind of like this episode. It's been, a couple weeks since we actually saw him in, for the last time. So that's probably how his character is going to stay. But I think we'll get to see more references to his character through Jean, where it's like, okay, well, I have to go home. Because I never thought, I feel like that's the thing with all the superhero shows. I never think about where do they live. Like, of course, Kara, we've seen her place a million times. Alex, we've seen her place, which I think Alex's place first showed up in this season. I don't think we ever saw her house before. I could be wrong, but I feel like maybe that was last season, because that was when she was first getting with Maggie. So maybe we did see her house in the last season, but I never think about that. It was like with Flash. I think that was in like the second season when he was like, "Oh, I'll just move in with you," and I was like, "Oh yeah, I never thought about where he lived," and apparently it was this crappy apartment. So I guess Jean has just been at the DEO the whole time. I mean, I know they have beds and stuff there, so I guess he's just been kind of relaxing there on his time off. So it was just funny where I was like, "Yeah, I never thought about where he lived. Like, never thought about where Wynn lives or where Jimmy lives. Like, it's just not something you really think about." And it's like, oh, Jean has a house now, and that's it's just kind of funny. But like I said, I'm mostly looking forward to what we're gonna get later from that storyline. But of course, our last storyline in this episode, also sad. Admittedly, also sad. This was kind of the moment that I think I've just been waiting for is like, how is this transition going to play out where we have this woman who doesn't know her origin, she has a daughter, and it's just the two of them, but, you know, she has these abilities, she has super strength, she's, um, maybe not invulnerable, but, you know, she can put her hand in boiling water, that sort of deal. And watching her, I'm still just gonna have to call her Rain because I legitimately do. I want to say Sam. I feel like her adopted mom called her Sam, and like I swear I never learned her actual name, which is insane. But I'm just gonna have to go with Rain, especially now. But she goes on this journey where it's like I need to figure out exactly who I am. So she goes to her stepmother, or her adopted mother, and we find out that she actually left her adopted mother years ago. Like when she got pregnant, she basically just left because her adopted mom kind of just let her go out on her own. And it was like, well, yeah, like you've never even met my daughter because you kind of just let me walk out. You kind of kicked me out, and that was just how it went. So, you know, like her adopted mom doesn't even remember her own daughter, you know, remember her daughter's name. So, you know, they're talking, and she is trying to get some information, like, you know, about my birth parents, like what's going on. And then she just tells her, it's like, you know, I was shot and nothing happened. And so her adopted mom is like, okay, I think there's something I need to show you. And they go like full Superman with it, which I thought was pretty awesome. But it was the ship in the barn thing, and I was like, all that did was make me think of Smallville, which was funny. But you know, it was like the full on spaceship in the barn, which was really funny because it seemed like she was in like just a normal house when she went to see her. I was like, oh, this doesn't seem like a place that would have a barn in the backyard, but apparently it did. So you know, she goes back there, and it's, you know, a Kryptonian ship, and she sees the ship and she gets the crystal out of it, and it's like, all right, well, now that I know this, I need to know everything else. I need to go on this journey to figure out everything about me. And unfortunately, you know, it starts off pretty cool. You know, like I got powers. You know, she gets her own little fortress of solitude. It's a fortress of sanctuary, I believe is what they called it. And it seems kind of cool. And it's like, oh, you know, you have these powers and this and that. It's like, I'm like Supergirl. And then it's like, oh, you're much more than that. And it's like, man, you know, like I'm a hero. And then it's like this weird warped version of being a hero, which I thought was kind of cool that the hologram kind of went through explaining it, where it's like, you know, you're so much more than a hero. You're gonna be, they say the actual name, like the World Killer deal, and you know, like you are Rain, or well, that was like the end of it because that was apparently her trigger word, and I just love that whole sequence because it was kind of sad, and she's like, you know, like I'm a hero and stuff, or like I can be a hero, and it's like, oh, you'll be more than that. You'll be the World Killer, and they'll try to take away your powers and stuff, and it's like, I don't want to kill people, like I want to help people. And it's like, you know, this was your destiny, and like you having a child was, you know, just a miscalculated error, which I thought was very interesting. And it's like, you know, she delayed basically the awakening of your powers, and it's just like, well, that is definitely a twist. And unfortunately, this was that moment where it's like, what is going to happen to change this woman from the loving mother and friend of Kara and Lena to the supervillain slash world killer Rain? And it was as simple as a trigger word, you know, a trigger word from a hologram, and she goes through the process, and her eyes turn red, the natural sign of evil. Either that or turning jet black like demons. But it's just like, man, that really sucks for her. That's all it took. It was just that little moment, and boom, she's Rain. And I have to assume that there's no way out of it. I'm sure they'll find a way, like some magical way to save her. But then that would also leave the opportunity for, you know, have another superpowered character in the series that could also be a hero. So I don't know if she'll actually live, because if they take it the Flash route, at least, she'll either live and then just be gone. She'll never be in the series again outside of like random appearances, or she'll die. Because if you go the Flash route, there can never be like more than one speedster at a time, and if there is, one of them has to, you know, I think I mentioned that in Supergirl a few episodes ago, I don't know why, but there can't be too many, you know, insanely superpowered characters, because it would just make everything easier. Like, all the villains would be taken down much faster. So I'm not sure how this is supposed to play out, but, you know, once again, it was like another little sad moment in the episode where she's freaking out, like, my daughter's not an error, and she was crying because she's like, I don't want to be a world killer. I don't want to destroy the world. I don't want to kill people. I want to do the opposite. I want to help people, just like Supergirl. And it's like, no, you're kind of here to just kind of lay waste and, you know, talk about justice and everything. It was kind of weird that they even use the term justice because I'm like, she's just killing everybody. What, like, where does the justice remotely come into that? It's just her wiping out the entire planet. So, unfortunately, she is officially Reign. Who knows how fast that's really going to come into effect, but it was just like, wow, that this is the moment. Like, this is now where we have that split. And it wasn't slow either. It was just like, nope, you are a full-on villain, and that is it. We'll see if they do sort of the dichotomy of like, oh, good versus evil, with her still being a, that human side of her, I guess we'll say, still being in there somewhere where they can kind of bring that out and be like, you can regain control over yourself, don't kill everybody. So maybe we'll see them kind of touch on that. It seems like that's just a simple place to go. So maybe we'll see them touch on that, maybe we won't, but we officially have Reign, and I don't know what that means. Like, I'm curious what's going to happen when she goes back to the city. Is it just going to be boom, instant villain mode, or is it going to be like this weird sleeper agent sort of thing where she's fully Reign under the absolute mind control of this trigger word, but then she has to fake like she cares about her daughter and her friends and stuff. Like, I'm just curious how that's going to play out. So, definitely looking forward to it. Like I said, all in all, I guess 2/3 of this episode, like, technically the endings were kind of sad. You have, like, some cool stuff happen. And, of course, with Reign, we kind of knew what was going to happen there with her being the new main villain. But, still, sad for her to have to experience that, where she learns, like, yeah, you're just meant to be bad. Your daughter, total mistake that happened. So, that, just interesting little moment for her. And then, of course, the stuff with Kara, where it's like, Mon-El's back, and Mon-El was also married to somebody else. So it was just like 2/3 of the episode was kind of sad. 1/3 was Jean bonding with his father a little bit more. So it was like, oh, that's nice. That's uplifting. Everything else was just like, sorry, you're meant to be a killer, and too bad you don't want that. So here it is. And sorry, the dude that you've been in love with and mourning for 7 months is actually totally alive. Came back, new hot wife. Sucks. So, interesting episode. Definitely looking forward to the next one. Of course, we'll love to know what you guys thought about this one, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, your least favorite parts about it. And I definitely want to know how you guys think things are going to play out with Reign, as far as what's going to happen when she gets back to the city. Like, what is Reign's first move? Is she just going to, is it absolute chaos, or is it going to be this sort of sleeper agent sort of deal? Because I would love to know your theories on how that's going to play out, because we really aren't that far into the season, so I do have to wonder what the true build-up is. If she's supposed to just take out, the world, what would be the point of having this sort of sleeper agent deal? I mean, it might make it easier, but I don't really see how. Like, she's supposed to be, like, insanely powerful, too, from what I know from the comics. So, very curious how that'll play out. But like I said, I want to know your theories on what she's going to do. Sleeper agent or just absolute chaos. And, of course, just want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general. So please comment below. Let me know. And thanks for watching.